Hi everybody, Father Scott Vanderveer here, outside of St. Mary's Church in Cooksaki, beautiful St. Mary's, which is where I live, but I do most of my time in the office at St. Patrick's in Ravenna. And the road between here and there is a long, windy 10-mile road along the river. Now, if you're a local person, you'd say, Father Scott, why are you taking that road? That's dangerous. But it's pretty. And it's made for speed and excitement. Well, it also is made for some danger because there are two distinct blind curves on that road and a couple of other tricky spots too. And the blindness of those curves has got me thinking about blind spots in my life and in all of our lives. I think that a blind curve on a road you take often is a great way to understand how our weaknesses show up in our lives, how our character defects show up. So let's take that road once again. If I'm going to St. Patrick's in Ravenna and I'm a little later than I want to be, I'm going to be tempted to take that road at the full speed limit. And when I'm approaching that blind curve, I had better not be fiddling with my radio or adjusting my podcast, because if I do that, there is a good chance that I'm going to misjudge the curve, miscalculate the right speed, and wind up in a ditch. And what I need to be able to say when that happens is, not again. I'm a better driver than that. I do not need to fall into the trap of ignoring a known and obvious danger on a road that is familiar to me. So let's talk about the blind curves on the pathway of our life. There are about 10 areas where we could have blind curves, and they are likely the places where if we do not catch ourselves and stop and take a breath before acting, we are likely to get caught in a familiar yet impossible to ignore danger zone. So just the fact that I know that I have a blind spot doesn't mean that knowing it is enough. I have to use tremendous caution around it. So let's talk about the blind spot of anger. Do you find that when you get angry, you are in a very big risk of saying something you'll regret? Is anger a blind curve for you? Is pride a blind curve? Are you someone who, when someone disagrees with you, you go right for it, you get into it right away, you start fighting and squabbling and becoming unreasonable? How about deceit? Are you someone who is, when stressed or strained, or if you get into an unexpected moment, you're quick to tell a lie? You maybe don't allow your words and the truth to be perfectly aligned, but you're willing to bend the truth if you get into a tight spot? How about vanity? Do you ever struggle with giving in to looking good rather than really being good? Is sometimes looking good enough and being good, having integrity, takes a back seat? How about envy? Is that a blind curve for you? When something good happens to someone else, are you sometimes finding it difficult to be happy for them and instead wind up feeling jealous, maybe a little bit bitter? How about greed? When money is on the table, do you find that you can't always control yourself? Have you ever had a situation with family go sour because of money, or a vacation with friends get tense because of the way you handle money? How about fear? When you get stressed and nervous, do you make decisions that you wouldn't make at other times? Do you allow stress and fear to take up too much space in your brain? How about gluttony? Is a buffet safe around you? Is the liquor cabinet needing to be locked when you're around so that you don't overindulge? Do you find that you often break promises to yourself about, I'm only going to eat this much, or I'm only going to have this many beers tonight, and then you find that you break that promise, you can't stick to it? How about lust? Are you someone who has a history of not being faithful or monogamous? Do you allow the stirrings that you feel, or the moments that catch your eye and draw you elsewhere, to turn into a full-blown way of treating another person like an object? Do you spend time that could be spent producing great things or coming up with solutions to problems? Do you spend it in mindless fantasies that aren't helpful and don't show respect to yourself or others? How about sloth or laziness? Do you find that you've been going on a lot of Netflix binges lately? Is it just an automatic thing that if you watch one episode, you're going to watch another? Have you been telling yourself that you should be involved in a charity or a ministry of some sort? Is there a hobby that you are neglecting? We are meant to recognize that all of us have blind curves in some area. It's different for all of us. Maybe yours is anger. Maybe mine is pride. Maybe hers is honesty. And someone else's is vanity. And someone else's is envy. And another person's is greed. And another's is fear. And another's is gluttony. And another's is lust. And someone else's is laziness. It's very important that we get to know where our blind curves are, and that we are willing to do something about them instead of just saying, that's just how I am. Because I'm gonna face those blind curves on my way to Ravenna and from Ravenna every time I go back and forth between my two churches. I am going to have to encounter those. And if I don't pay good attention to my inability to manage those without really working at it, I'm going to wind up in the ditch. And I'm going to need to get towed out. And I'm going to need to have my alignment readjusted. But that works the same way with our blind spots in life and in virtues. We have the sacrament of confession so that we can admit to ourselves, to God, and to a priest the exact nature of our wrongs. We have the penitential rite at Mass where we admit, Lord, here I am again with my sins and my weaknesses and my flaws. Please help me, redirect me. We have the chance to do an examination of our conscience every night before bed. How did I do today? If I have an anger problem, how did I manage today? When did I get angry? And how did I process that differently than I could have? Blind spots. We all have them. And just knowing the root alone is not enough. We have to pay attention to those areas where we're likely to go off the road. I hope that you will join me in working day by day, moment by moment, cooperating with God's grace in taking these blind spots and turning them into opportunities to rely on God more and develop virtues that we've never yet had. God bless you.